Hi there, it's David John, the Resourceful Coach, and what we're going to do a little bit today is go through what I have in my golf bag. I've had a few people who sort of picked up on some of the equipment that I use, and it looks a little bit old, and I'm not kidding you, some of it will be old, but I'm going to explain why it's in my bag and why it's so important to me. Okay, so here we're going to go through what I carry with me, the importance of certain other things that I have in the bag that are going to make me play to the best of my ability when I go out and play. So let's start with the club I think most people have picked up on, my driver. And I've got in my bag a tailor-made R510 9.5 degree driver. Now this was made, first came out in around about 2003. And people look at me and go, why have you never changed your driver? I probably got this, I think actually, I'm going to be honest, it may have even been one of my lessons, just didn't get on with it. And he said, look, you might as well have it. So I probably have had this about 20 years, I would say. And it's got in it a stiff flex shaft. It's got the Speeder 757 shaft, which is a Fuchikura shaft. And it's an XTP Tour Preferred shaft. And I just love it. That's the bit I love. Why do I like this club and why have I never changed? Two reasons. Number one, I feel I can shape the ball either way with this club. So I feel confident that I can stand on a tee box, okay? And if I'm standing on this particular hole, I could stand here and quite easily hit a draw. I could quite easily hit a fade down this hole. And that's the thing I like the most about it. I could stand here. This is a hole I'd like to draw it, okay? So I'm standing here. I feel confident that the shape of the shot I can get from the shaft is going to give me the shot I want. So let's hit a draw. And I've drawn that nicely down the hole. Be quite happy with that. On this particular hole, I'll probably only have a wedge or so into the green. But I could also stand here, although it doesn't suit this hole, but I could do it. And we've got a couple of holes here at Corinthians that curve the other way. But I'd feel quite confident I could put this ball in exactly the same position, hitting a fade. And I think that's such a big thing. If you can stand there with a club that you feel confident with, that you can actually hit the shape you want. So I feel now I can aim, you can see the difference in where I'm aiming. And now hit it over those trees, little fade. And I've probably got, well, hopefully both of those just a wedge into the green. So that's the number one reason I've stuck with this club. It's 20 years old, okay? 2003 it came out. The second thing is, because the shaft is good and I look after the shaft, there's no marks on that shaft. Being in my bag for 20 years, it's not worn here or anything. I get enough distance with it for the level I want to play to. And as a professional golfer, I don't play tournaments now. I want to go out. If I can shoot level par, I'm having a great time. I know if I hit it well, I can put this 250, 270 down the hole. It's doing what I want it to do. So you're going to be shocked in a minute because there's a club in my bag even older than this. Okay, and people have picked up on it. But this is 20 years old. If it works, it works. I think one of my comments I had in the last week from one of my videos is that somebody said, words to the effect, I pulled an old 7-wood out of the garage and I went out there and started knocking it 200 yards down the hole. It was brilliant. Okay, leave it in the bag. If you've got a club that works, leave it in the bag. Don't think new technology is going to make a difference because your confidence is far more important than that. So that's club number one. That's my driver. As we said, what we've got, tailor-made R510, 9.5 degree, 20 years old. I can draw it, I can fade it, I can hit it as far as I want to go. So that's in the bag, that does a job. Club number two, even older, okay? I had to look this one up before I did this video. This was made 1995 was the first one came out, and it's a Callaway Big Bertha Warbird 4 strong. Now, why do I have this in the bag? It's got 17 degrees of loft, and it's one of my biggest things with golfers. Make sure you've got enough loft on your fairway woods. Okay, you probably go to a shop now and buy a 17 degree club, it'll be a 5-wood. Okay, lofts have changed, so it's really important. Now, I like this mainly because of the sole. It sits so good. It has this sort of, as I said, warbird sole, and it sits brilliantly on the ground. And because I've got enough loft, I feel confident I can get this off the tee. In the summer, what, 220, that would be my shot if I'm hitting it well. Out of the rough, maybe a couple hundred yards, okay? That's what I'm looking for from this club. Again, It's old. It's got the RCH 96 firm flex shaft in it. The key thing is, I mean, we're talking about these two clubs, and even my irons in a minute are not that young, is the only thing I make sure is the shafts are good, especially the graphite shafts, which I've got in my driver, my fairway wood and my hybrid. Make sure there's no damage, and there's no damage on it, so it's not wearing away and it could break. But most important thing, with all my clubs, I keep the grips, re-grip them pretty much if I can every year. I don't play a lot of golf, but I'll still do that because I want to make sure that when I hold that club, it feels right. So again, we're looking at a club with 1995. Okay, that's quite old, but it works. So why would I change it? Okay, my third club is my Titleist. I like Titleist golf clubs. So I've got my Titleist 910H 21 degree hybrid. Again, I'm thinking this has got to be around about 2012, 2013. I've got a stiff flex, 80 gram shaft in there. It just works. I like it. If I'm probably honest, when we go into my irons in a minute, I would probably start to add more hybrids to my game now than before, because I feel more happy hitting this, okay, than say a 4-iron, okay? But love this club. Again, really good out of light rough, good on long par 3s, good off the fairway. It's a club, as I said, at least 10 years old. And I don't think there's one club in my bag that's not at least 10 years old. So I'm not going for the latest technology, I'm going for comfort. I'm going for what works for me. So they're my three clubs I'm getting distance with. Now my irons are a set of, let's see what we got. Titleist again, AP2 712 forged irons. The reason why I've got these clubs, I love the look of them. When they sit on the ground, it looks a little bit like an old traditional blade, but I know I've got a little bit of help at the back of the club. And if I'm probably honest, if there was one thing I was going to change in my bag, if I played a bit more, this would be the thing that I would change, is probably my irons, because it's the area I'm probably losing a little bit of distance. So I'd probably go to maybe a slightly bigger head, something that would work for me. But I love the look of them. I love the feel of them when I hit them right. And that's key for me when you look down at a club. And I've got in my bag a pitching wedge all the way through to a 4-iron. So all the same clubs. Again, in there we've got the Project X 5.5 rifle shaft. Love it. And that's the key thing. My average score, I may have said this already, but if I haven't, this year probably shooting around level 1 under par. Okay, with this sort of equipment. But again, you're looking at a set of irons at least 10 years old. Okay, so that takes us through now to my wedges. Now, I don't have a lot of wedges in my bag. Okay, I've got my standard pitching wedge, which in that set would probably be around 45, 46 degrees of loft. Nowadays, wedges might be nearer 44. So my next club I've got is my Vokey wedge. Again, it's got to be at least 15 years old. 252.08, so that's the bounce, 8 degrees of bounce that I've got on the bottom of that club. Again, this is a club I love hitting from around about 100 yards and in. Use this club, love it from 70 yards. You've seen my videos, 3/4 swings. I love it. I just feel it comes off the face really good, and good control on the face. And the key thing, as long as with any golf club that you've got in your bag, as long as you look after them, keep them clean, they're going to work, keep them re-gripped. It's that old, I couldn't tell you what the shaft was, okay, because the sticker's worn off. Okay, this next two clubs are probably the youngest clubs in my bag. So my sand iron stroke lob wedge, I have a Cleveland 60 degree, let's just give you what it says on it, BAA RTX, and it's got a Rotex face. So it's basically got a little bit of a sort of a milled face there. Sits lovely, love it to chip round the greens. Feel I can sort of close it down a bit if I want to, open it up to play different shots. But I think the most important thing I would say to any of you with a lob wedge, when I grew up, the most lofted club you generally had was a sand iron, which is about 55 degrees. And if you wanted to get more loft, you opened the club up. It's like an Aladdin's cave now when you go into a golf shop. You can physically buy whatever loft you want. And the way these clubs are designed, they'll sit perfectly for you. I don't need to add more loft in general to my 60 degree because it's got 60 degrees of loft. If you look at some of my lob wedge videos, we talk a lot about how we just let the club sit there naturally, because Cleveland has designed it that way. Why do I want to open it more? Okay, unless the lie is very, very good, I'm not going to do that. So buy a club that you think I can just sit it as it's designed and let it work from then. 60 degrees around the green should be plenty. But you can see in my wedges, I only got, as I said, around about a 46, a 52 and a 60. So I've actually got 8-degree gap between my clubs, but I like the thrill of the excitement of adapting to the shot that's in front of me. Okay, I would probably encourage my golfers, because again, how much golf I played as a junior and short game shots were my area I love to sort of experiment with. I'd probably say go every 4 degrees. So mine's quite a big gap, but I can adapt, and that's the key thing. I like to play around with the length of my swing and the different clubs. Okay, so that's pretty much all my swinging clubs. Now we've got my putter, which a lot of you ask about my putter. They see it in my videos, and we've got an Odyssey putter, and it's a metal X milled face 9HT. It's sort of that half moon looking club as you sit down. Again, you're going to get bored of me saying this, but I just love the look of golf clubs. And what it has at the top here just has this design with the black line, and it just feels so square when it sits on the ground. For me, I want to make sure, and that's a little bit back, we'll go back to one of my old clubs, the old Warbird. When that sits on the ground, I don't need to do anything. It does it for me, and I feel exactly the same with the putter here. So if we look at that, we've got sort of 3 long distance clubs that we use. We've got our 4 to wedge, we've got an extra couple of wedges and a putter. So I haven't even counted how many clubs. We've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I don't have the 14 clubs. And this is the other thing that's important to me. I like to feel the golf course, so I carry. Okay, I've got my stand bag there, tailor-made stand bag. For me, I love to carry because I want to feel the golf course under my feet. I don't really enjoy it. Every now and again you get somebody go, oh, let's go out on a buggy. Don't enjoy that. Never ever had an electric trolley, never. So I've carried all my golfing life. Love it because it gives me the feel of the golf course. Now, what else have I got in my bag that's important? Okay, golf balls. What do I use? Well, I'm a Pro V1 man. That's what I generally use, and on my golf balls I'll always write on them, my marking is ESAO. Every shot's an opportunity. So every time I see that on my ball, I go, this is an opportunity to play a great shot. Pro V1's the ball I use pretty much most of the year round. I quite like their new AVX ball, and I use that a little bit in the winter, but they're the 2 balls I generally use throughout the year. In the UK, not so important to have a Pro V1 to get it to stop quickly, so you can go a little bit firmer ball if you're playing places where the temperature and the softness of the ground changes. So they're my 2 balls, Pro V1 most of the year, AVX sometimes. Love those 2 balls. Last thing that I have in my bag, and probably one of the most important things, actually we'll go through 2 or 3 more things that I've got, but most important, my rangefinder. I've got my Red Tiger rangefinder. The other thing I like about this, because it has this magnet on the side, is I have my pitchfork on it. So it always reminds me when I'm playing a shot into the green, if I've hit the shot correctly, I better use this when I get down on the green. So that's something that I look at when I go down. But I like that. It's very simple. It's great for practice. You can get slope ratings, understand. Corinthians is quite a sloping course. Some holes can range 10, 20 yards difference from the actual distance you got to go, going uphill or downhill. So I think that's such an invaluable thing, but find something that gives you distances, and your goal really on the golf course, learn how far you hit the ball through the air. 2 things. Carry's the most important thing. The second thing is, how far does it go overall? In the UK at the moment, we're now into the winter here in the UK, it's not running very far. But I like to use this. On this particular hole, for example, we've got a bit of a dog leg. I can use this to give me some feedback to say, well, where's the end of the dog leg? Might be 200 yards to get to those trees in the distance, so that gives me an idea of the type of shot. You might have bunkers on your course, water. You can get a reading with like a laser to give you an exact distance, and then you can sort of work out how you're going to play that hole. Tee pegs. Okay, we're going through everything in the bag. I use wooden T-pegs. For me, I just like to push it down to the level I want. And if I'm honest, if I snap that in half, I pick it up because we're meant to be into recycling now. I can use that shorter tee on a par 3 hole when I'm using an iron. So T-peg's really important. Now, the final thing I'm going to talk about is I don't wear a glove. Never worn a glove. Okay, from day one, never worn a golf glove. Okay, and the reason I do that is because I want to feel the club, and that's why it's important I keep those grips nicely regripped, nice and new. I want to feel that club. But I do have a glove in the bag. Okay, and the reason why I have a glove in the bag, you go out on a day, it could be torrential rain, it could be boiling hot, and your hands are a little bit too sweaty or it's going to slip. Have that glove in your bag if you're not a glove wearer like me, just in case. Because there's nothing worse than you suddenly get into that situation and you find yourself having to strangle that club. I want to feel that when I'm holding that club, it feels right. I will probably wear a glove once every 2 years, but it's in the bag just in case I need it. So there's an insight into my bag, a little bit the reason why I have those clubs in the bag. I'm very much a player and I encourage my golfers, get comfortable with your golf clubs. Okay, if you're not happy what you're using at the moment, maybe it's a time to look at changing your clubs. But as you can see, pretty much there, probably my youngest club in the bag is the putter. And again, I think like the driver, I might have bought that off one of my lessons. He just didn't get on with it. But we're talking probably at least 8 years old, I would say that putter is. My wedge, Cleveland wedge, similar. And then the irons are around about 10 years old. I think I bought them 10, 12 years old, as is the hybrid. But look at that driver. I know people go, wow, why are you not buying the latest thing? It just doesn't work for me. And I have gone and tried out clubs loads and loads of times, and I've never come away going, that's given me something extra. So why do I need to go and spend £400 or £500 on a driver? Get in the bag what works for you. I hope you've enjoyed that video. It's a bit of a different one. It's an insight to what I've got in my bag. For me, feel comfortable with your clubs. As I said, I've been knocking it around this year in around about par 1 under par on average with golf clubs that some of them now we're talking 30 years old. But because they're like old friends, I stand over them and have confidence that I'm going to play a good shot. If you have enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel. Share this with your friends. They might find it a little bit funny, the age of my golf clubs, but share it with your friends, and I look forward to seeing you soon.